welcome to InfoHub Recap. We look back at the past week's main issues. In our headlines, the head of state reinforces the need for citizens to vote in November 12th LGE at Riverton. October is Cancer Awareness Month. The Ghana Prison Service marks its 35th anniversary and World Teachers' Day observed. These stories and much more in this week's InfoHub Recap. First, we begin by telling you that Prime Minister Moses Nagamutu on September 28 affirmed to scores of Region 5 residents that the government is proud of their numerous achievements within the agriculture sector.
At the Region 5 Regional Agriculture and Commerce Expo's opening, Prime Minister Moses Nagamutu highlighted that on a national level, the region contributes to 48% of paddy produced, 50% of rice, 28% of pork, beef and other meat, 12% of coconut, and 2.5% of fish.
And our country must not fall in that trap of depending on imports and to go back perhaps to the vision that was once shared with the nation by Forbes Burnham of having you to have local products being emphasized, to be able to have alternatives rather than being dependent on foreign imports. So this region is carrying out a mission for Guyana, and I want you to feel that this mission is part and parcel of the new policy to make Guyana green, to be able to have Guyana sustainable in food production so that we do not fall into what has been described as the Dutch disease.
The Prime Minister advised that emphasis be placed on the agriculture sector's expansion as it will lead to job creation as opposed to solely depending on the budding oil industry. Regional Executive Officer Ovid Morris said that the region could be the driving force in food development and marketing with stakeholder support. President of the Region 5 Chambers of Industry and Commerce, Imran Sakur, added the theme of the event speaks volumes to the potential of the region's agriculture. The region's race, under the theme Sustaining a Green Economy Through Food Security, allocated over 10 booths that showcased various products and services in the agricultural sector, including an art and craft booth by Paradise residents. Also in attendance were Minister of Social Protection Amna Ali, Minister of Social Cohesion, Dr. George Norton, Minister within the Ministry of Public Health, Dr. Karen Cummings, and Minister of Communities, Ronald Bolkan. For InfoHub, Anara Khan.
Minister of Public Security Kamraj Ramjatan on September 30 urged Ghana Prison Service officers to do better in the face of wrongdoing and speak out when collusion is observed. Alexis Rodney reports.
Minister Ramjatan was delivering remarks at the 35th Thanksgiving service of the Ghana Prison Service held at the Cecil Kilkenny Training School, Uzignani's Coast, Demerara. He said that the prison system has seen a surge in incidents of collusion between ranks and inmates. He called for a higher level of integrity among ranks.
The fact that we can go and introspect and say that, I should not have done that, or I should not have seen my colleague do that and not speak up. As I have said on several occasions, silence is violence. We shut our mouths to the wrongdoings, it will occur. So we must speak out.
For 2018, 28 officers have been dismissed from the prison service. 11 were charged for trafficking-related offenses. 12 ranks were interdicted from duty, 9 of whom were charged either departmentally or criminally for trafficking-related activities. Acting Director of Prisons Gladwin Samuels said that the rogue elements of the prison service will sooner or later weed themselves out.
Let them remind themselves that in Guyana we say, time longer than twine. To ensure success in many areas, we need a purpose-driven strategy. This is a strategy that uses purpose to drive, integrate, and evaluate everything an organization does so as to ensure it creates its desired future.
The director implored all officers to carry out their duties with a purpose. Reporting for InfoHub, Alexis Rodney.
On Monday, the Ministry of Education signed 2 contracts for the construction of 2 secondary schools at Good Hope, East Coast Demerara, and Westminster, West Bank Demerara. Details in this story.
The contracts were signed by the Ministry's Permanent Secretary Adel Clark and awarded to Roy Basu and Sons for the Westminster Secondary and BK International for the Good Hope Secondary. They are valued at US $4.5 million and US $4.82 million respectively. Minister of Education Nicolette Henry said it is part of the ministry's move towards modern educational institutions.
These are 2 very important contracts for us because we're seeing here what we expect would be 2 new secondary schools, and so it is important that we have these done in a way that is modern, it's futuristic in some ways, and certainly meet good practices and standards.
The schools will be furnished with multi-purpose halls, home economics buildings, science and computer laboratories, audiovisual and industrial technology rooms. The school's construction is expected to last for 15 months. Reporting for InfoHub, Alexis Rodney.
In observance of Breast Cancer Awareness Month 2018, the Ministry of Public Health, in collaboration with the Pan American Health Organization, World Health Organization, are focusing on increased availability of treatment and heightened public awareness on prevention. More in this report.
As Breast Cancer Awareness Month of activities kicked off on October 1, PAHO WHO Country Representative Dr. William Adukro urged that more emphasis be placed on providing effective treatment.
I would like to sound a word of caution. I hear a lot of agencies saying we are doing screenings. We are doing a lot of screening. We are screening here, we are screening there, we are screening for this, we are screening for that. Ladies and gentlemen, screening without effective referral and quality management is of no value. If you are going to tell someone they have a condition and you don't give them the assistance, they are going to die earlier. So please, let us do the screening. It's very important, but let's make sure that we also refer them for effective care.
Minister within the Ministry of Public Health, Dr. Karen Cummins, said a strategic plan will be implemented which will see treatment regimens for cancer patients.
The government of Guyana, through the Ministry of Public Health, has begun to explore and implement numerous activities that will seek to curb this cancer epidemic. And some of these activities include appropriate staffing of the Chronic Non-Communicable Disease Unit, allotment of adequate budgetary resources, training of healthcare professionals in the area of oncology, public-private partnerships with non-governmental and non-profit organizations, research and surveys, establishment of an oncology unit at the Georgetown Public Hospital Corporation.
Breast Cancer Awareness Month 2018 is being observed under the theme I Have Hope and was launched with a tree wrapping exercise at the Ministry of Public Health's Compound Brick Dam. During this month, the ministry will collaborate with various cancer foundations to spearhead several activities. For InfoHub, Delicia Haynes.
The Ghana-Brazil well drilling mission, which will see the construction of 8 wells in 8 South Rupununi communities, was officially launched on Monday.
The mission's launch took place on October 1 at the Lethem Amerindian Hostel. Minister of State Joseph Harmon said this union with Brazil is a sign of the nation's strong bond.
This agreement has the potential to bring unprecedented relief to the citizens of the Upper Takatu, Upper Essequibo region. And it is part of the fulfillment of government's pledge to bring a good life to all the people of Guyana. The agreement was sanctioned and given the green light at the highest levels in both countries, and is a clear signal of the strong friendship between our nations.
Brazilian Army Colonel Emerson Denny explained that the 6th Construction Engineering Battalion from Boa Vista will deploy 48 military personnel.
It's important to these communities to ensure that they have a regular supply of potable water all year round. The teams will begin the drilling wells in Sufurupununi from 4th October with 2 drilling teams working about 10 days in 2 simultaneous locations.
Wells will be drilled at Aishalton, Chukrikidanao, Karadaranao, Achiwib, Awaranao, Maruranao, Shia, and Baishaidram, and will have a depth of 250 meters or 800 feet. They should be completed and handed over to the government on November 28. Renetta Lufleur for InfoHub.
Minister of Public Security Kemraj Ramjatan at a media sensitization workshop said the Juvenile Justice Act 2018 will transform the delivery of juvenile justice and minimize the criminalization of youth. Here are the details.
Minister Ramjatan said the commencement order for the Juvenile Justice Act is before the Attorney General's chambers. He noted there are moves to construct special magistrates' courts and other appropriate infrastructure, hire and train specialist staff, and make other preparations for the operationalization of the juvenile justice system.
All of these things are so important to ensure the actual realization of this juvenile justice regime that we see will transform the shape of our children's justice here in Guyana. I need not remind you that indeed this act incorporates the international guidelines from Riyadh and Beijing. Those were 2 places that they had 2 major conferences, and in those conferences a lot of recommendations came out that modernized juvenile justice.
Chief Magistrate Anne McLennan said the act in its current form reflects international justice standards in keeping with the Beijing rules. When commenced, the Juvenile Justice Act will remove offences such as wandering and truancy from the laws of Guyana.
Once that act comes into place, there will be no the Juvenile Offenders Act will be repealed, and the Training School Act, sections 15, 16, and 26 will be repealed, and also provisions in the Education Act will be repealed, and the Parole Act also has some sections which will be repealed. I'll deal with these later on. It has also amended Section 2, 7, 9, and 11 of the Probation of Offenders Act.
The media sensitization workshop was hosted at the Guyana Marriott Hotel. The Juvenile Justice Bill was passed in April 2018. It seeks to address infractions of the law involving juveniles from a standpoint of reformation and diversion. For InfoHub, Stacey Carmichael.
President David Granger says Guyana and China share a common desire to deepen and strengthen economic relations and trade. The head of state was speaking at the 69th anniversary of the founding of the People's Republic of China on Monday evening. Anara Khan has our report.
President David Granger said over the last 40 years, the 2 countries have established and maintained mutually beneficial diplomatic relations.
China plays a key role in Guyana's development. Chinese grant resources support teachers' training. China's assistance to our ICT sector will improve national telecommunications. Chinese materiel has helped the recapitalization of our defense and police forces.
The president reaffirmed the government's commitment to ensuring a safe environment for all investors. He added that investment in green development is the way of the future. Chinese ambassador to Guyana, Kui Jianchun, shared similar sentiments.
The development of China-Guyana relationship has opened a new chapter. The Chinese embassy is ready and willing to work together with you to explore more opportunities for China-Guyana cooperation and make greater achievements. With our concerted efforts, China-Guyana relation will be even brighter in the new era.
For InfoHub, Anara Khan.
On Tuesday, prosecutors from the Department of Public Prosecution and investigators from the Special Organized Crime Unit, Financial Intelligence Unit, and the State Assets Recovery Agency began training in state assets recovery and anti-money laundering. Alexis Rodney was there and filed this report.
The course is being run by experts from the state's Assets Recovery Unit and focuses on evidence gathering, successful prosecutions, and the confiscation of assets and cash from criminal elements. British High Commissioner to Guyana Greg Quinn said that the objective is to ensure that those involved in organized crime face the full extent of the law.
Criminals have to know that there can be no impunity for such crime. It is also relevant to note that cracking down on money laundering doesn't just mean successful prosecutions which put people in jail. It also involves hitting criminals where it hurts them most, in their pockets.
According to Quinn, money laundering supports a variety of criminal activities, including drug running, corruption, extortion, and terrorism. He said it is imperative that states prosecute every money laundering case uncovered. Advisor to the Special Organized Crime Unit, SOCU, Dr. Sam Sitlington, said that justice is often delayed because of the lack of due process.
We see a lot of cases getting to court and failing in court. We see failings within the files that go to the DPP. We don't want files to come back to us for amendments or corrections. We want one file, one time, going to the DPP or the Police Legal Advisor, and that file then being referred for charges.
The British High Commissioner said the United Kingdom remains committed to supporting Guyana in all areas relating to security sector reform. Reporting for InfoHub, Alexis Rodney.
As Ghana moves towards green energy, the Hinterland Electrification Company Incorporated launched its Renewable Energy Technologies Public Awareness Campaign. Anara joins us again.
Minister of Public Infrastructure David Patterson said the campaign demonstrates government's commitment to using clean energy in the electricity sector.
The Let's Make It Happen Renewable Energy Technologies campaign is a national call to action from the Ministry of Public Infrastructure and by extension the Government of Guyana, and it is consistent with the general thrust of the government Green State Development Agenda. The aim of the campaign is to encourage every Guyanese to play a meaningful role in energy conservation.
Project Coordinator Horace Williams noted that under the program, a number of renewable energy pilots are being implemented in urban, rural, and hinterland areas.
There is need for increased awareness that adoption of renewable energy and energy efficiency can reduce greenhouse gas emissions to mitigate the effects of climate change, such as flooding along the coastal areas, improve public health, create green jobs for Guyanese, and boost local economies, reduce energy bills significantly, reduce the costs for business to provide goods and services, ensure a regular supply of affordable and reliable electricity, improve energy security, improve the social and economic well-being of indigenous communities.
Over the next 6 months, stakeholders and the general public will be engaged in the nationwide campaign. It is funded by the Global Environment Facility through the Inter-American Development Bank. For InfoHub, Anara Khan.
On Wednesday, Executive Director of the Agency for Industrial Safety and Environmental Protection in Mexico, Carlos de Regulez, says Guyana can benefit from that country's experience in the oil and gas sector. He was speaking during a meeting with Prime Minister Moses Nagamutu. Here's Anara with our report.
Regulez, along with Mexican Ambassador to Guyana, Ivan Robero Sierra Madel, paid a courtesy call to Prime Minister Moses Nagamutu earlier today. The AC director explained while Mexico has been an oil-producing nation for over a century, 3 years ago the industry underwent a reform.
Institutions needed to be put in place. Regulations, environmental and safety regulations needed to be designed and put into work. And in a way, it is a similar situation to what Guyana is experiencing at this time. The country is facing a very promising future with oil and gas, and I think the question is, how do you harness this future in order to make it a sustainable and a positive future.
Regulez is conducting a 3-day workshop where representatives from the Environmental Protection Agency and other stakeholders in the oil and gas industry are engaged.
This Mexican recent experience can be of value to Guyana in deciding how to better harness this oil and gas industry to make it a positive thing for the country.
The director also expressed interest in hosting future workshops. Prime Minister Nagamutu expressed his gratitude towards the AC director. He noted that the training sessions are as a result of discussions had between both governments in 2015.
You have managed your industry since 1906. So we saw developing relationships between our two countries. And now you have come here to conduct these classes, and we can only benefit from your experiences. And I'm very grateful. The government is very pleased that you have taken up this opportunity to come to Guyana.
For InfoHub, Anarakan.
Renetta LaFleur now tells us that very soon residents of Port Kaituma and Mabaruma in the Barima-Waini region will have 24-hour access to potable water.
Following the discovery of high levels of mercury in the Kaituma River, the Guyana Water Incorporated started drilling a well to supply nearby residents. GWI's Managing Director, Dr. Richard Van West-Charles, said the new well will be completed before the end of October.
Maybe in another 3 weeks, that area will have about 3 wells, and we will be pumping into the town. So nearly all of the residents will then have access to potable water.
The new well will operate concurrently with the other 2 community wells, which GWI will activate soon. Meanwhile, the plan for Mabaruma is to increase the hours of water supplied to the residents, Dr. Van West-Charles explained.
They're moving from pumping for 2 hours a day to about 6 hours, and it should extend more. And we are preparing to drill a well in Mabaruma, so they should move very quickly to about 24/7.
These efforts are in keeping with GWI mandate of providing citizens with portable drinking water. The sum of $3.2 billion have been allocated to GWI in the 2018 budget towards this cause. Renetta LaFleur for InfoHub.
Ghana's first credit bureau, Credit Info, is calling on loan agencies and citizens desirous of acquiring loans to utilize its services. This will ensure an easy and swifter financial experience. Stacey brings us the details.
Credit Info's Chief Executive Officer Judy Semple Joseph said the bureau offers strategic advantages for existing and potential lenders. The services assist consumers in building better credit profiles, thus enhancing their chances of accessing loans. She explained the agency's importance in accordance with existing legislation.
Whether we like it or not, Credit Info operates under the legislation. It's the Credit Reporting Act of 2010 and the Credit Reporting Amendment Act of 2016. And embodied in that act is the fact that lenders must put credit reports, and the fact for every application for credit, and also the fact that all lenders are required to upload all credit information. So at some point, whether we like it or not, our credit information, all of our credit information, is in the Credit Bureau database. And it is not only confined to financial institutions, there are also non-bank financial institutions that subscribe, and also there's non-traditional credit data like information from the utilities like GWI, GPL, and so on.
Semple Joseph said with Guyana on the cusp of petroleum production, the business environment will soon become more competitive, hence the increased need for such a service. Executive Manager of the Guyana Power and Light Incorporated, Renford Homer, explained that the company has accessed Credit Info's database to gather information on defaulters.
Been able to locate some defaulters who may have moved from the addresses that were established at the time when we were delivering electricity. And there have been some cases where we've been able to either locate those individuals, we've been able to either, if need be, through the legal process or writs, or in some instances, we've been able to speak to them, encourage them to visit the office and, come to an amicable arrangement to liquidate the outstanding amounts. And that has worked on occasions in our favor, and of course, for that defaulter as well.
October 4 is designated International Credit Bureau Day. As part of the observance, Credit Info is calling on citizens to visit the New Market Street office up to October 6 to find out their credit scores. Credit Info is an Icelandic company and was granted a local operating license in July 2013. For InfoHub, Stacey Carmichael.
Riverton has the potential to become a commercial powerhouse through local governance and cooperation. This was expressed by President David Granger during his address to residents of the town on Wednesday evening.
President Granger said the return of local government elections, LGE, provides a powerful opportunity for communities to realize their true potential. The head of state was speaking at a community meeting held at the Riverton Primary School.
We are serious about local government elections. It is a constitutional right. It's an entitlement. It is not a favor that the PPP gives to the people. You are entitled to it. And this is what we insisted on. It's not a matter who win or who lose. It's not a matter of African Indian, Amerindian. It's a matter of a citizen's right. And you will exercise that right for the second time in 3 years under the APNU administration.
The president urged the residents to assess the improvements within their communities over the past 3 years. President Granger reminded that local government is the pathway to democracy, hence there is a need for collaboration.
We all have to work together. You cannot have somebody in Fort Lee, Kingston calling himself Minister of Local Government deciding what is good for Riverton. You, the residents of Riverton, have to make those decisions. You wear the shoes, you know where it pinches. You live in the house, you know where the roof leaks. And you must come around the table and discuss what is best for Riverton. APNU only sees Guyanese citizens, Guyanese tongues, Guyanese residents. We provided a tractor and skips to help to remove your garbage. We provided waste bins. You know, in the past, the PPP used to divide the country into two, green villages and red villages. When you go into the red village, you see lights, streets, beautifully paved. You go into a green village, you want to know if you get bummed out. Dirty water, broken bridges. No, this is no joke. I remember going into Perth, Myconi during a flood. People standing up to the knees in water. They asked the PPP government, what about us? They say, ask Granger. Knowing very well that I was in the opposition. But they saw Perth, they saw Myconi as green, and they looked after villages which they thought were red. We colorblind. We don't have green and red villages. We just have Guyanese citizens.
Prior to 2016, LGE were not held since 1994. For InfoHub, Stacey Carmichael.
In observance of Agriculture Month and its 43rd anniversary in Guyana, the Inter-American Institute for Cooperation on Agriculture, ICA, hosted a Grand Agro-Processors Market and Open Day. Crystal Stull has the details.
Representative of the ICA, Wilmer Garnett, said through collaboration with the Agriculture Ministry and several agencies, the Institute has taken steps in modernizing the local agriculture sector.
We've done quite a bit of work in technology and innovation, introducing new varieties of crops in Guyana, as well as strengthening the livestock industry. We spend quite a bit on biotechnology. We've worked with the Mexican government scholarships. We have quite a number of Guyanese studying biotechnology to support our coconut industry. We've also worked in water.
Garnett said the Open Day aims to highlight the work done with agro-processors in various regions. Minister of Agriculture, Noel Holder, commended ICA for its outstanding contributions to the agriculture sector.
My discussions with the Secretary General of ICA, Director General, indicates that ICA might have a bigger role in this region, and Guyana might be its regional hub.
Representative of the Organization of American States, John Rico Dumuse, also recognized the works of ICA and stressed the importance of agriculture to any country's development. In recognition of the long-standing partnership with the government and ICA, several trees were planted by the Minister of Agriculture, Noel Holder, Minister within the Public Health Ministry, Dr. Karen Cummins, Argentina's Ambassador to Guyana, Philip Alejandro Gadea, and ICA's representative, Wilmer Garnett. Reporting for InfoHub, Crystal Stull.
On Friday, President David Granger reaffirmed the coalition government's commitment to local democracy. He was speaking at the 61st anniversary celebration of the People's National Congress. Stacey Carmichael has the details.
As one of the major parties constituting the coalition government, President Granger restated the People's National Congress reform's commitment to local governance. The head of state reminded that on March 18, 2016, a mere 10 months after assuming office, the coalition hosted local government elections, LGE. This is after them being absent for 22 years under the previous People's Progressive Party, PPP regime.
Our party's commitment to the conduct of regular local government elections reflects our obligation to promote democratic renewal and community development, where they count first and most, at the grassroots. Our commitment is a manifestation of our party's resolve to empower citizens to take control of their communities.
Guyanese will head to the polls on November 12 to vote in the LGE. The president said this will be a significant day since it is the first time in decades that elections are being held when constitutionally due. The establishment of new towns, neighborhoods, and the Local Government Commission, President Granger said, signifies government's commitment to reinforcing local democracy.
And most of all, we have abolished the obnoxious interim management committees invented by the PPP regime. We have done so to protect democratic organs from central government interference and abuse. Comrades, we recall how former PPP local government ministers employed a haughty and high-handed approach by removing neighborhood democratic councils and municipalities and installing interim management committees, without even bothering to consult the local residents.
The president assured that this will never be the case under the coalition administration, emphasizing the right of citizens to elect their community leaders. For InfoHub, Stacey Carmichael.
You have been watching InfoHub Recap, where we share the past week's top stories. Goodbye.